Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Sandra Maraj and this is C News Live. Topping the news at this time, the Queen of Bacchanal is currently in a hospital in Bermuda after taking a major tumble while performing. Soca artist Destra Garcia had to receive medical attention in Bermuda after falling through a stage. Destra was a featured act at Cup Match Summer Splash for the country's Cup Match or Summer's Day holiday. But soon after the Lucy singer took to the stage, misfortune struck as she fell and was seemingly incapacitated. She did not resume her performance, leaving many initially frustrated but then worried as the soca artist was attended to by medical officials. We have since learned she has suffered a broken ankle and will require surgery. We will have more on this story in subsequent newscasts. One woman has suffered first-degree burns and 6 people are now homeless after a building in San Fernando burned to the ground. The building, which housed a bookstore and apartments, was gutted by fire at around 3 a.m. today.
Well, I was sleeping. That was about, after 3. And within the sleep and wake, I started stifle. And I hear this cracking noise because the wood was burning. And when I opened my eyes, I seen fire over my head. So like I do, open my door, I put and run out. Run back in to try and see if I could have saved, but the suit was too thick. Fire was on inside already, and that was it there. With the place on fire. Within half an hour time, the whole place fall long.
They explained that the landlord who lived on the top story of the building had to be hospitalized.
She living upstairs as the landlord, you know what I'm saying? And how the fire escalated from the front, the whole upstairs is board, so the fire spread straight upstairs, and all I see she running out in a towel. Me and see she again, all I hear she going in the ambulance, so.
She suffered first-degree burns. The displaced tenants said they had difficulty contacting emergency services when the fire raged.
For help and all too, and people don't even answering the phone. You know what I'm saying? We were about talking to the government, you understand? But circumstances was such, because we call it emergency and...
Several passengers aboard an American Airlines flight into Trinidad and Tobago suffered injuries after the flight encountered severe turbulence on Wednesday night. In a release from the airport's authority, it was confirmed that 30 passengers were injured after the plane ride got rough as it encountered air pockets on approach to the Piarco International Airport at around 9:30 p.m. Violent turbulence followed and injuries were sustained as a result. The American Airlines plane was en route to Trinidad from Miami and it suffered no structural damage and landed safely. While 30 passengers reported injuries and had to receive medical treatment at the airport, 3 passengers had to be taken to the Arima Health Facility for further treatment. TSTT has declared a $49 million after-tax profit for the financial year ending March 31, 2017. It's a $349 million turnaround in its performance in 2016. The company published its audited fiscal results for the period 2016-2017 in the daily publications on Thursday. The telecommunications company made a total profit of $143.2 million. Last year, TSTT made a loss of $316 million in Emil Ilaz's first year as chairman, citing aging equipment and infrastructure for the poor performance. However, it should be noted the figure doesn't include TSTT's $215 million acquisition of Massey Communications announced on May 2, 2017. TSTT undertook several major projects this year, including the relaunching of the B-Mobile brand and signing of a $1.95 billion partnership with RBL. Former Minister of National Security Gary Griffith has called for a moratorium on the current arrest and detain approach towards illegal immigrants in the country. The security advisor says the current approach is hurting rather than helping.
We must put a moratorium, an amnesty to allow these 100,000 persons to come to the immigration department to regularize their status. Persons may object to this, but the fact of the matter is that if we try to ship back all 100,000, we do the Donald Trump mad approach and just send them back to their home country, it is going to cripple our economy. Most of them in assisting to the development of our economy by working. The problem, however, is that because they are not regularized, because they are not registered as a non-resident or they do not have a work permit, it means that they are not paying taxes.
He says this would allow for the immigrants who have overstayed their visit but are seeking to be regularized to come forward. He says he has shared this idea with the current Minister of National Security.
I showed him it was a moratorium allowing 6 months for them to come forward. Their employers, their persons who are employers and would like this to happen. This is going to inject over 2 billion TT into our economy annually by these persons paying taxes, by the employers paying NIS.
Well, this is the C News Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at C News Live. Moving on, pretty soon the government will be moving to restructure the Community-Based Environmental Protection and Enhancement Program, CEPEP. Minister of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries, Clarence Rambarat, says the program is set to be split among 3 ministries. Addressing the launch of a national website for forest and protected areas in Trinidad and Tobago, Minister Rambarat listed how the restructuring would work.
You would have heard about the restructuring of CEPEP. A lot of people believe that the resources allocated to CEPEP have not been used wisely. It is a view that I support. The government has already announced that in the new configuration of CEPEP, the resources will be split in 3. 1/3 dedicated to the Ministry of Works in relation to urban development, 1/3 dedicated to the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government in relation to rural development, and 1/3 dedicated to the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries in relation to the work in agriculture.
Minister Rambarat also shared how he intends to use the CEPEP within his ministry.
In the first year of having access to that resource, the resources would be used for the original intention of CEPEP, which is environmental protection, particularly on projects on the East-West corridor. I think we are doing sufficient in reforestation. I think we're doing sufficient in the new reforestation project, which involves commercial replanting, particularly in southeast Trinidad. And I think the East-West corridor, particularly the Northern Range, particularly the Northwest area and the Northeast area, is in need of some resources.
Local fisherfolk as well as residents of Chaguaramis' offshore islands can finally breathe a sigh of relief from interference and noise pollution following a victory judgment made yesterday in favor of the Chaguaramis Development Authority. The authority was successful in gaining an interim injunction against party boats. Justice Kevin Ramcharan, presiding in the Port Spain High Court Wednesday, dismissed Martin Uri's injunction bid to stop the CDA from exercising its right to address certain undesirable activities in the Alcan Bay area and the sea adjacent to the coastline and the foreshore. The CDA says it has been receiving repeated complaints over the years about the excessive noise coming from party boats operating in the area. The board of the CDA said it's pleased with the ruling as there will be immediate relief for people living and working on the offshore islands and in the vicinity of the peninsula's coastlines. Minister of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries, Clarence Rambarat, says he's pleased with the judgment in favor of the CDA, which grants an interim injunction against party boats. Minister Rambarat said while the legal case does not fall within his ministry, the impact of the party boats on the environment is of great concern.
Consider them to be a disaster waiting to happen, not because of the noise only and the way in which they interface with the coastal waters and the islands in a way that, in my mind, could be dangerous, but the construction and the use of the party boats and the lack of safety measures.
Government Minister Stuart Young is acting as the Attorney General in the absence of Faris Al-Rawi, who is on official leave. This was confirmed in a press statement from the Attorney General's office on Thursday. Minister Young started serving as acting AG from August 1st, 2017 and will be in the post until August 15th, 2017. Well, let's take a look at the weather now. And today, Trinidad and Tobago should see cloudy periods with intermittent showers in varying localities, which will be interrupted by sunny intervals. We can expect heavier showers during the afternoon, with a high chance of 1 or 2 of these showers becoming thundery, especially during the mid to late afternoon. Gusty winds, street and flash flooding may occur in heavy showers and thunder showers. Seas are expected to be normal to moderate, with waves 2 to 2.5 meters in open waters, less than 1 meter in sheltered areas. The Joint Trade Union Movement is ready for its march on Friday. Leader of the group, Ansel Roger, spoke with reporters about the march outside Citygate on Wednesday afternoon. He said the march will address several key issues.
These issues are issues that we cannot disregard, and therefore we have called this major rally on Friday, march and rally on Friday, to treat with national issues as we treat with issues relative to workers at various workplaces.
Chetam said the response to their mobilization has been positive so far.
The mobilization has gone quite well. We went throughout the length and breadth of the country. People are identifying with the cause because people are generally suffering, and therefore they need a voice to voice their concern. And we have taken the position that regardless of which government is in office, we have a duty and responsibility. That's the trade union movement. We have a profound duty and responsibility to raise these issues on behalf of the members that we represent.
Chetam, along with Natok and Phaeton, will stage its march starting at the Brian Lara Promenade tomorrow afternoon. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has reported a 30% detection rate for serious crimes in the second quarter of 2017. This was reported at the weekly police press briefing on Wednesday. These figures were further supplemented by a 10% reduction in reported serious crimes, according to acting ASP Michael Pear.
3 of the 9 police divisions met and surpassed this benchmark, namely Southwestern Division, Eastern and Tobago divisions, with detection rates of 59%, 47% and 37% respectively. The Southwestern and Eastern divisions both having improved their detection rates to 64% and 57% respectively. Tobago at 35% and Southern Division at 33%.
Despite these statistics, the TTPS acknowledged its challenge with regard to the murder rate, noting the increased number of guns being seized by the police. The murder toll stood at 288 as of yesterday.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has found and seized 509 firearms of varying types, 107 more than the corresponding period in 2016, and 6,343 rounds of assorted ammunition compared to 5,493 for 2016. This speaks to the proliferation of illegal firearms within our nation.
Defending Pro League champions Central FC are expecting a stern test when they tackle Panamanian powerhouse Arabe Unido in their Champions League qualifier tomorrow evening at the Hazley Crawford Stadium. Head coach Dale Saunders is confident his troops can shake off a sluggish start to the season and get a positive result against a dangerous opponent.
We have a lot of young guys this season. We lost a number of experienced guys. But, you know, I think the guys have been doing a very fantastic job. The coaching staff have been really trying to get the standard high with these young guys. Going into these games, I think it's a very wonderful opportunities for these guys. Some of them at age 18, 19 years old, we lack experience, but I think they are eager for the task at hand. And I think come tomorrow, please God, we'll give a good showing of ourselves going into this tournament.
Previously, local clubs struggled in the CONCACAF Champions League because they often ran into bigger MLS clubs which were further along in their seasons than the local clubs. But this time around, the new format suits clubs like the Central Sharks. At least that's what CEO Brent Sancho believes.
The actual competition, I think it gives clubs like ourselves the opportunity to play, I think, clubs of the likewise standard. I think the former format before pitted us against MLS teams, which was a bit of a challenge and a bit of a stretch for us as local clubs. Of course, the MLS clubs boasting a bigger budget, bigger player personnel, bigger pool of talent. And of course now, this format gives us the opportunity that we believe to play against teams that are similar in terms of in terms of player personnel, etc.
Members of the Laventille community were given a treat by the Laventille Knights Foundation as they were privy to a night of football between an all-star team featuring some former World Cup stars against a Laventille select team. Among the visitors for the game were Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, and on the pitch, two-time World Cup winner Brazilian Cafu, along with former TNT stars Dennis Lawrence, Stern John and Ross Russell, while former Jamaican international Ricardo Gardner also took to the pitch. The Prime Minister also took time to greet members of the Laventille team. Cafu did find the net, but a little cheeky with the goal being disallowed. The Laventille All-Stars brought their fans to their feet with this goal. And they weren't done yet, as a day to unite a community through football lived up to expectations. A deal has been agreed in principle by Australia's players to resolve a long-running pay dispute that could have threatened this winter's Ashes series against England. Cricket Australia says a deal was struck with the Australian Cricketers Association on Thursday. The Test tour of Bangladesh starting this month is now expected to go ahead. Australia A's tour of South Africa was cancelled in July amid the row over the scrapping of a revenue-sharing model. Australia's leading 230 players have effectively been unemployed since the previous 5-year agreement expired on June 30th. That's it for sport. Well, that's our C News at Noon report. I'm Sandra Miraj. Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, visit the C News website at ctvtt.com.